I wonder if there something about the ideological pursuit in charities that maybe attracts those kinds of people who get caught up in these fashions. I'm thinking of Oxfam. Was it Oxfam? They did there's like a whole thing of the pronouns you have to use. Meanwhile, they were off doing all sorts of sexual assaults and bullying.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean, it was Oxfam in Haiti, I think, or you know. I think also it's a bit like the sort of Greg Wallace thing. Yeah, he didn't like being told off by women of a certain age and a certain class. You know, and the fact of the matter is that women of my age and educational background are now in positions of control and power, whether it's Rosie Kay or me or J.K. Rowling, and we are sufficiently confident enough to stand up for what we believe in. And I think that is, you know, I think certain people don't like that. They find that threatening.
There's a certain kind of male feminist that I think is that way. That they sort of appear as though they're on the feminist side and then don't actually let women speak. And if the woman does speak to them, suddenly they kick off.
David Tennant is a good example of that.
We wanted Kemi to disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is just, you know, democratically elected and an elected leader of a party, of the opposition. And he has the temerity to say that. And I don't think you'd say that about a man.
I think a lot of people are concerned that often it's the case, especially with the actors, most of their kids seem to be trans. And maybe most is an exaggeration, but certainly compared to the wider...
Robert De Niro.
Tennant and the Sex and the City woman, and you know, there's so many. Cynthia Nixon, and I think with David Tennant, people think it might be, you know, once your kids are that way or believe that, it's very hard to push back.
I know, and I feel very sorry for parents who have that to contend with, and I wonder why it's happened. I wonder why the statistics seem to show that so many young people are questioning their sexuality in this way. And I think it is a thing, you know, and I think it's something which has been sort of whipped up and sort of foisted upon young people as in a sort of fashion, really. I mean, I cannot believe that, you know, thousands and thousands of young people are sufficiently distressed or unhappy with their own sex, their birth sex, that they are going to have puberty blockers and operations to cosmetically reverse it.
Well, it's you know, we've long known just about the psychology of girls in particular, but also boys, but mostly I think girls in their teenage years not wanting to become women because of the way men start to stare at them.
Many girls who wish to transition have come from a household where there has been sex abuse or some sort of, you know, sexual aggression.
You know, I've got the ones I've really lost respect for is Have I Got News for You? So that's still BBC, of course. And I just can't believe it. And Ian Hislop...
They haven't touched it.
Ian Hislop claims he did and that he didn't make the cut, which is last week or something, a couple of weeks ago.
They haven't touched the Supreme Court ruling.
He said he did and they didn't include it in the cut, which is even worse. You know, he should be quite in control.
Try listening to Woman's Hour, Andrew.
I haven't done. Go on.
Well, I mean, they do not. They might have trans activists on, or they'll have men on who are purporting to be women.
But and another is the sort of the football ones, the Gary Lineker and all that. He's on every progressive march or whatever, but doesn't want to defend women's spaces or women's teams and things. This is all BBC.
Yeah, I mean, I think sport, I salute Sebastian Coe because he is, I mean, I run marathons and I really take great pleasure at my advanced years to see where I am in the female,
Right.
in the field.
You've done 12, haven't you?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
But yeah.
I'm not gonna rate myself against men. And imagine if you're an elite runner, and you ran a 2 hour. Well, just the other day, the London Marathon, the world record was smashed by a woman, and I think it was 2:15 or 2:14.
Was it hours? 2 hours, 15 minutes?
Yeah. Well, the male, that would be pretty sluggish for an elite man. The men are posting 2:02, 2:03. Obviously the great push is on to have the sub-2 marathon, but that won't be won by a woman. It'll be won by a man, obviously. Now imagine if you are. I mean, we've seen this sort of heartbreak of women de-podiumed because some bloke has said, "Well, I'm identifying as a woman and I must be in your swim team," or just.
So I mean, Gary Lineker, I don't know if you heard him the other day, because he doesn't want to answer those kinds of questions, and then he said he thinks, because he says a lot of people don't want to pay the license fee for the BBC, which is a subject of contention. I think some people feel, I mean, the BBC obviously offers a lot of great content. Some people feel, well, I shouldn't be forced to have to pay this, and maybe there should be some, and that's a different an argument for another day. But he started saying, we should start trying to appeal to those who do love the BBC rather than those who complain about it. And I just thought, well, yeah, but those who complain about it are made to pay, so you need to bring them on board. There just seems to be an arrogance at the BBC, particularly with this progressive ideology. Did you feel that around you?
No, I felt that the board were kind of like uneasy that this sort of politics had entered the terrain of BBC Children in Need, which they like being on the board, but they don't really want any trouble. And so actually just to quickly pay the grant and be quiet was just easier.
Well, given the nature of the crimes of James Rennie and the historic crimes at LGBTYS, is there a feeling that, because the last couple of years we had the last 10 years, I suppose, Jimmy Savile stuff all came out, and it was like, okay, this is a new dawn, a new beginning. Does it show that some people, because I mean, I don't believe anybody supported Savile, but it was a case of just keep it, let's just keep going. Have they not learned lessons?
No, they haven't. It appears not. I mean, Hugh Edwards also.
Yeah.
His crimes, not just the young man who spoke to the Sun, but the worse. Well, I don't know how you can say it's worse, but the
also
shocking crimes of processing and making pornographic images of children. Edwards was given a pay rise and helmed the whole Queen's funeral.
What an embarrassment! I mean, that's
and I think the BBC, it tends to just wish things away.